Passengers of flight PX073 return, however, one missing. Men in blue salute fallen heroes. And technical school in Morobe under-resourced, says principal.
This is the National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Saturday's news. The Air Niugini flight crew and passengers involved in the Chuuk landing mishap arrived at Jackson's International today, just after 2 this afternoon. However, in a media statement released today, Air Niugini said they are unable to account for a single male passenger and are working with local authorities, hospitals and investigators to locate him. Edlin Zirkskari with this report and exclusive footage of their arrival.
The Air Niugini flight sent early this morning to pick up the crew and some of the passengers arrived at 2:20 this afternoon at Jackson's International Terminal. The passengers were the first to disembark and were welcomed by Air Niugini staff. Then the crew followed to disembark and were greeted with relieved hugs from their fellow colleagues. The crew and passengers were then taken to Airways Hotel. Air Niugini today also released a media statement that most of the passengers returned to Port Moresby, while 6 people have been hospitalized in Chuuk but are in stable conditions. Air Niugini also advised that 1 male passenger is unaccounted for. The airline company is currently working with local authorities to locate the passenger and also with the embassy and travel facilitators to contact his family. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has expressed his gratitude to the Air Niugini crew and local Micronesians who came to the rescue of passengers. The Prime Minister has also called on for people not to spread speculations or rumors and await facts from the investigation. The Boeing 737-800 series aircraft yesterday morning landed short of the runway whilst landing in Chuuk Island in the Federated States of Micronesia. It was carrying 27 passengers and 12 crew members. Investigations are underway to find the cause of the crash. Adelaide Zirkskari, National EMTV News.
A fine of 10,000 kina or a prison term of 4 years will be imposed on alluvium miners who carry out unauthorized semi-mechanized or mining in the country. Under the Mining Act 1992, Section 167, a person shall not carry on exploitation and mining on any land unless he is duly authorized under this Act. As part of this regulatory compliance responsibility, the Mineral Resources Authority has warned alluvium miners who may be conducting unauthorized semi-mechanized or mechanized alluvium mining activities. Recently, the MRA issued 13 stop work notices to individuals in Wau and Bulolo in Morobe, where unauthorized alluvium is predominant. Tunneling and sluicing as part of this unauthorized operations has damaged local roads, especially between Wau and Bulolo. MRA Acting Managing Director Nathan Mosusu has appealed to miners to adhere to the regulatory requirements. Soldiers from the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment are finalizing preparations toward assisting the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary for APAC security operations in November. So far, at least 700 soldiers have undergone the training on combat shooting and the use of machine guns. This training is facilitated by the Australian Defence Force with support from Papua New Guinea Defence Force trainers.
The security preparations are concluding as Papua New Guinea counts down to the arrival of world leaders in November. Soldiers from 1RPIR are leading the PNG Defence Force in assisting police deliver a safe and secure APAC. One such preparation is the accuracy and the skills a soldier need when using a firearm in a combat situation.
What we look for is our troops being able to maneuver quickly, being able to shoot accurately, and being able to increase the tempo of their engagement of the target they have to neutralize.
Earlier this week, a live firepower demonstration was staged to test the capabilities of individual soldiers and how they can work as a team during the APEC Leaders Week. The first drill, which is called the combat shoot, is an exercise that prepares soldiers to operate in an urban environment. In the second drill, a group of 9 personnel are engaged in what is known as the direct fire support. This includes the setting up of a Mag 58 rifle on a tripod and aiming for a target between 1 to 3 kilometers.
Nations, they hit the target and the target only. What you saw behind you at what we call the gun line is our heavy weapons being able to provide sustained fire support out to an extended range as far as 5 kilometers in support of an operation that may be conducted by either the police or a combined operations.
The direct fire support is a unit in the PNGDF that specializes with firearms. It was an important unit that supported the PNGDF during the Bougainville crisis and the restoration of peace process. However, due to limited resources and financial challenges, no training of such magnitude was conducted for soldiers in the last 20 years. The first training was conducted in May, and this is another phase of this specialized training.
This is the build-up to the training that was given to us, so sort of like the foundation at the start of the year, and now we're stepping it up to, if you like, an advanced part of it. The transformation has been phenomenal.
Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Department of Education has put 32 elementary school teachers from the Hela and Southern Highlands provinces off the payroll for using fake grades 10 and 12 certificates to be placed on the payroll. The department has also recommended to the Teaching Service Commission to deregister the 48 as teachers. Out of the 48, 2 teachers with the same surname used the same grade 12 certificate, while 30 were found to have used fake grade 10 certificates. According to the Education Department, investigations are continuing into 17 other teachers' documents to confirm if they are actually teaching at schools. The 48 teachers were referred to the department's internal audit unit after officers in the payroll division picked up discrepancies in the documents. The 12 police officers who have passed on in the last 12 months were remembered during the annual Police Remembrance Service, a service held to remember police officers who have died while serving the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. This is the second time the service has been held, and Police Commissioner Garibaki plans to make it a tradition for officers all across the country to commemorate the day.
It is not always that police officers get more acknowledgement than critics. Such ceremonies are held to appreciate the challenging work of police officers. This morning's service was dedicated to those who have passed on while serving the constabulary.
We remember late First Constable Andy Kotange and David Kundu, who were brutally ambushed and killed along the Highlands Highway in Mendi, South Highlands Province on the 30th of September 2017, one day after the commissioning and of this monument. We also remember Sergeant William Marita and Constable Clement Wailau, who both died whilst attempting to cross the flooded river in Medang Province on the 12th of December 2017. On this day, we also remember Sergeant Philip Aluba, who was shot and killed by criminals on the 18th of January 2018 while attending a complaint of robbery along the Highlands Highway in Tari, Hela Province. We also remember Constable Ben Melvin, who died after being stabbed by criminals in Ley on the 6th of June 2018. Another policeman we remember today is Constable Jeffrey Jack, who fell off a boat whilst drowned in the Gulf Province on the 5th of July 2018. And as I stand here, yesterday I've been also given a sad news from the Rural Station Commander in Kendrian, who has fallen off a boat whilst trying to travel to Kimbe to see his provincial police commander. So we remember him as well too.
Senior officers from our PNGC, including representatives from our bilateral partners, laid a wreath as a sign of respect. A 2-minute of silence was observed before a 21-gun salute was staged to remember those who have fallen in the line of duty. NCD Governor Paul Sparkop, who was the reviewing officer, spoke of the challenges police officers in Papua New Guinea face when carrying out their duties.
In fact, it was the first institution of state to be created in our country. It has helped us a lot over these formative years to now, and its role and responsibility is ever more critical now than ever before. Today, one of the major development challenges we face is to reduce violence and secure peace in our country. No nation and people can progress without peace and security. The Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary is needed more than ever for the well-being of our people and our nation.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
You're at National EMTV News. Stay tuned for more stories coming up after the break. Welcome back. The National Statistics Office will be responsible for the 2020 national census, and it needs someone to provide the leadership that it requires. That was what the Minister for National Planning and Monitoring, Richard Maru, said yesterday when announcing Michael Kumung as the new head of NSO. Poor leadership of the institution has been the leading factor in many issues faced by the organization.
The National Statistics Office is a very important organization that is responsible for research, conducting surveys, recording and coordinating statistics for development purposes. The new head of NSO, Michael Kumung, said the office must give real-time statistics that will help the development progress of the country, and to do so, it requires good management.
NSO is one of the very important offices of our country. As a country, we have run 43 years. We've just celebrated our 43rd anniversary. And over the 40 years, we have generated statistics in every areas of our doing. As a government, as individuals, we have generated statistics which need to be recorded and administered to serve the development of our country.
Mr. Kumung said both the public and private sectors have provided indicators and statistics that needs to be recorded and administered by the NSO, such as the infant mortality rate and other health indicators. This help NSO provide correct information to the government and other stakeholders when requested.
And that's why I see the challenge that is before me. And it won't be an easy task. I know the issues of administration, issues of accountability. But we have got systems and processes in place that will help me to manage the whole work that is waiting for me. And I take up the challenge with full heart. I know with limited knowledge and experience and the energy that I have in me, I will depend on all this.
NSO has been faced with a lot of issues recently, and the new head is confident to clean up the office and build up the institution. Kumung urged the staff of NSO to support him to ensure the office serves its purpose for the development of the country. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
The casket of the late National Court Judge Justice Harold Faulds will be airlifted to Western Highlands next Wednesday morning, where it will overnight in Mount Hagen. A funeral service will be held on Thursday at Warakum before the casket returns to Port Moresby. The late Justice was serving his first year as the Mount Hagen resident judge when he passed away last Monday after a short illness. He was appointed by the Judicial and Legal Services Commission in October 2017 to serve a 3-year term. On Friday, a ceremonial sitting will be held at the Supreme Court House in Port Moresby, where late Justice Faulds will be farewelled by his colleague judges. He will be laid to rest in Australia. The Australian and Papua New Guinea governments are progressing rapidly with the project to deliver the new high-speed Coral Sea cable that will connect Port Moresby through Sydney. Australian High Commissioner Bruce Davis was pleased with the progress of the project. The Coral Sea cable will significantly improve Papua New Guinea's internet connectivity, allowing businesses to access new markets. Once completed, the cable connection will improve internet connectivity and also reduce high cost of internet charges. The project is a symbol of Australia and Papua New Guinea's enduring partnership in the region. The new NID head, Noel Mobiha, says part of his goals is to build a PNG-made system and provide real-time information for the Civil and Identity Registry. At his inauguration yesterday, Mr. Mobiha said the current system is challenging and time-consuming.
The new head for the NID project under the Civil and Identity Registry, Noel Mobiha, commended outgoing officer Mr. Kumung for bringing the number of registrations from 60,000 to 500,000 within just 11 months. He also commended the registry's young and vibrant officers, which in his opinion will work smart to meet the target of registering everyone by 2021.
So, and that information from PNG CIR is actually real time. It should be real time. At this point in time, we are a few years behind on the statistics. But for government to make independent and very evidence-based decisions in terms of planning, the information from the registry is paramount. So we hope to try and build a real-time system, and with a young team of staff that Michael has brought.
Since the rollout of the NID project in 2015, a total of 500,000 of the country's population are registered. Challenges are inevitable. However, the registry, through the Department of Personnel Management, have taken measures such as decentralizing of the NID project to the provincial and district level, which will now see printing of NID cards outside of Port Moresby. Mr. Kumung, who is now the new acting national statistician, said the journey was challenging, but he is confident the office will help provide necessary information to the government.
The office back into order. The system is now under control. The staff are now working. The structure for the new agency under which the NID project is run, the PNG Civil and Identity Registry structure has been approved by DPM. We have also worked around to get the financial powers to the office, which we can run our project. And another big project that we were doing is the amendment to the Civil Registry Act.
Minister responsible in National Planning, Minister Richard Maru, said 20 million kina has been allocated for the NID project this year, a bulk of which was used to purchase software for the project. He said budgeting for the project will continue as the NID team works towards registering everyone by 2021. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News.
The Constitutional Law Reform Committee has been directed to review existing laws on alcohol and drug abuse in Papua New Guinea. A gazettal notice from the Justice and Attorney General's Office now gives CLRC the challenge to conduct a nationwide consultation on people's view of the existing laws. CLRC is now inviting relevant government agencies, NGOs and interested individuals to contribute their views through regional consultative forums. The first for the New Guinea Islands region will be held in Lorengau, Manus Province next month, followed by New Ireland and later in West New Britain. The Malahang Technical High School in Lae has been producing skilled tradesmen and women over the years. However, Principal Winstanley Taumba says the school needs support. Mr. Taumba said they lack the resources and equipment for practical lessons and need the support from stakeholders, industries and the district and provincial governments to continue producing tradesmen in the province.
This is the Malahang Technical High School in Lae. It is the only school in Morobe that offers a dual curriculum of academic and trade courses. Up to 12 trade courses have been taught here over the years, but this has become challenging with the school's lack of equipment and resources.
We need a little bit more funding on the machineries and equipment that can be put into these classrooms, training areas, so it will help a lot. At the moment, we do not have enough tools, materials for providing training, but now we get a little from whatever that we can do with the TFF money.
Winston Litamba has been the principal here for the past 4 years. He says they've been relying heavily on the government's TFF funds and support from parents to continue training. The school started renovating these trade classrooms, which is costing the school over 200,000 kina.
The school has got a building and a workshop and all this, but they should come in and assist us to put the machineries in. Like the computers, at the moment we need the computers for our IT students, those who are doing business studies. We need more of those into our school.
Mr. Tamba says Malahang Technical High School has not been receiving the support they need to train skilled tradesmen and women. They plan to expand their trade programs, however, they need the support from stakeholders, industry and the local and provincial governments.
The same. Now we see little support from our stakeholders. The LGs are not looking at this place as a place for training our human resource. Even the district, they are not looking at us and coming into our assistance to help build the school so we can train our human resource, and even our provincial division of education. They are not giving enough funding or support to our TVET schools.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
You're with Saturday's News. We'll be back with more after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. A Chinese national working for an ADB-funded road construction in Nipa electorate died instantly after a serious accident at Warraanga in the Southern Highlands. The other two were seriously injured and fighting for their lives at the Mendi General Hospital. The deceased, late Zhang Hongguo, was the head of workshop division in Nipa Base Camp. Since May 2018, when the project started, 3 major accidents have happened. One in the Eastern Highlands, where one vehicle overturned, killing the driver instantly, and 2 in Southern Highlands, including the recent one. Turning overseas now, there have been tears and anger on America's Capitol Hill as the Senate heard from the woman who claims she was sexually assaulted by the man President Trump wants to put in the Supreme Court. It's her words against that of a judge who says he is the victim of a calculated political hit job. A warning: the details in this report may be upsetting for some viewers.
Under oath, Dr. Christine Ford relived the nightmare which has haunted her for 36 years in front of 21 senators and the world. At a house party aged 15, she alleges then 17-year-old Brett Kavanaugh and his friend pushed her inside a bedroom and locked the door.
Brett got on top of me. He began running his hands over my body and grinding into me.
Believing he was going to rape her, she called for help.
Brett put his hand over my mouth to stop me from yelling. This is what terrified me the most. It was hard for me to breathe, and I thought that Brett was accidentally going to kill me.
Most haunting, she says, was that they seemed to be enjoying it.
The laughter, the uproarious laughter between the two, and they're having fun at my expense.
She refutes claims it could be a case of mistaken identity.
With what degree of certainty do you believe Brett Kavanaugh assaulted you?
100%.
Outside, people gathered in support of her, the research psychologist, now a symbol for sexual assault survivors. Then it was Brett Kavanaugh's turn to testify, the judge who Republicans want to elevate to the highest court in the US.
I'm here today to tell the truth. I've never sexually assaulted anyone, not in high school, not in college, not ever.
He says the claims have destroyed his family, but even so, his daughter and wife had prayed for Dr. Ford.
And little Liza, all of 10 years old, said to Ashley, we should pray for the woman. It's a lot of wisdom from a 10-year-old.
Kavanaugh said he was the victim of a grotesque and coordinated character assassination by Senate Democrats.
I will not be intimidated into withdrawing from this process. You've tried hard, but you'll never get me to quit. Never.
But if Kavanaugh was angry, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham was furious.
What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics.
Donald Trump weighed in on Twitter, calling Kavanaugh's testimony powerful, honest and riveting, saying the Democrats' search and destroy strategy was disgraceful. While the nation remains split, Republicans are now considering their next move. The voting process will begin tomorrow, with a full confirmation vote expected next week.
And Christine Blasey Ford is not the only one making allegations against Kavanaugh. She's just the only one who is willing to testify. Here's a look at two other accusers, Julie Swetnick and Deborah Ramirez.
Their names came up during the testimony of Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Kavanaugh, two other Kavanaugh accusers. One is Julie Swetnick, whose lawyer says he's heartened that Senator Dianne Feinstein read her allegations.
She recounted seeing Kavanaugh engage, and I quote, in abusive and physically aggressive behavior toward girls.
In a declaration released through her lawyer, Swetnick claims Kavanaugh was present at a high school party around 1982 where she was the victim of a gang rape. She did not identify Kavanaugh as one of her attackers.
From what I experienced firsthand, I don't think he belongs on the Supreme Court. And I just want the facts to come out, and I want it to be just, and I want the American people to have those facts and judge for themselves.
Also ninth grade.
Swetnick's lawyer tells CNN she watched Thursday's hearing from a private location. There's Deborah Ramirez. In an interview with The New Yorker, Ramirez accused Kavanaugh of exposing himself to her at a party at Yale University in the 1980s.
She recalls pushing him away and then seeing him laughing and pulling his pants up.
Kavanaugh vehemently denies both women's allegations.
I've never sexually assaulted anyone. Not in high school, not in college, not ever. The Swetnick thing is a joke. That is a farce.
Lawyers for both Swetnick and Ramirez have been sparring with Republicans on the Judiciary Committee. The Republicans accusing the women's lawyers of stonewalling requests for information.
And they have made no attempt to substantiate their claims.
The lawyers for the women denying that, saying they want to testify. Now, a key question. With the Judiciary Committee vote still scheduled for Friday and the full Senate vote slated for Tuesday, will these two accusers ever appear in the Senate?
I don't think there's any chance that Republicans are going to give another forum like this to the other two accusers.
Do you swear that...
Analysts say Senate Republicans have viewed Ford as the most credible accuser. Swetnick was herself accused of domestic violence in Florida in the early 2000s, an ex-boyfriend alleging she threatened to harm his family. The case was dismissed, and Swetnick's lawyer claims the ex-boyfriend has no credibility. Still, Republicans would likely zero in on that episode if she testifies.
Her entire past is on the table, and Republicans will take every opportunity to go over every liability she has in her past, in her testimony, any holes, any character and credibility questions, and they will use that to shoot her down.
There's another woman whose information could shed new light on these allegations. A lawyer for Elizabeth Razor, an ex-girlfriend of Mark Judges, the man allegedly in the room when the incident with Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Kavanaugh allegedly took place, says that she's willing to share her information with the FBI or the Senate Judiciary Committee. Razor says that Judge told her of an incident where he and other young men took turns having sex with a drunk woman. Razor says that Judge regarded the incident as consensual, and she says she has no information that Brett Kavanaugh took part in that incident. Right now, there's no indication that Elizabeth Razor or Mark Judge is going to appear before the Judiciary Committee.
A mysterious tunnel has been discovered in cliffs above Sydney Harbour. It's man-made, but nobody seems to know what it was made for.
One of Sydney's most spectacular sights, the sandstone cliffs of South Head, and perched on their edge since 1818, Macquarie Lighthouse, but sitting beneath it, largely unknown until now, a tunnel.
As of the moment, the mystery continues.
Jutting out, a platform covered with a concrete roof, half collapsed from decades of salt and wind. The shots were captured by Macquarie University researchers using a drone to make 3D images of the lighthouse for its 200th anniversary. Trouble is, it's a tunnel with an end, but no start. No one's been able to find the entrance. It's not in the base of the lighthouse. That's built on solid rock. Even ground-penetrating radar has found nothing.
We had one member of the public today tell us they believe there was originally an elevator down to the tunnel.
The other unknown was what it was used for. Some say it dates from the 1920s, was then overhauled.
The tunnels were there certainly from World War II as an observation or maybe a searchlight station.
The next step, head to State Archives to try and research its origins, and then the more difficult and dangerous phase, to abseil over the edge and examine it up close. Curious to see it for yourself? You won't have to climb down. A 3D virtual reality version will be available at the Lighthouse on Sydney Open Weekend, November 3 and 4. A chance to understand what's underneath.
Venezuela's massive financial crisis is taking a serious human toll, with people dying in lines while waiting to withdraw what worthless money they have. The once wealthy country has the world's biggest oil reserves, but after the oil price fell in 2015, food shortages and street protests became part of everyday life.
The human cost of Venezuela's hyperinflation can be seen at every bank in Maracaibo. It is the cash point queue from hell, where your money is worth less than when you join the line, and all you can withdraw is the equivalent of 12 pence. A run on the currency has turned into a mad scramble for survival. On average, Venezuelans have lost 11 kilos in the last year, and it shows. Hunger in a country rich in natural resources.
These queues are symptomatic of complete economic meltdown. People are desperate to get their money out and spend it before it becomes worthless, because prices are doubling every few days. The people here say in the last 2 weeks, 5 people have died while queuing up trying to get a little cash.
Many blame President Maduro, who's continued Hugo Chávez's hardline socialist policies. It hasn't stopped him enjoying himself, though. Last week he was filmed at a top restaurant in Istanbul, a celebrity chef carving him lavish portions of meat. Contrast this with what his people face in Venezuela's supermarkets. But it's not just empty food shelves. Many don't even have running water now. Anger often boils over into protests, mothers banging their cooking pots because there's no food to put in them. The authorities try to put a lid on the simmering discontent with overwhelming force. Restrictions and power cuts mean it can take 5 hours to fill up your car here. Ironic in a country with the world's biggest oil reserves. So a flourishing black market in illegal fuel has sprung up, where you pay 1,000 times the official price. Maracaibo was once the Dallas of Venezuela, but after years of government mismanagement and meddling, oil production has collapsed to a 50-year low. The pride of Venezuela is holed below the waterline, causing an environmental disaster. The government recently issued a new currency, lopping 5 zeros off the old one. But new or old, Venezuela's money is barely worth the paper it's printed on. Its only value now is as a childhood distraction from the deprivation of a country that has sunk into an economic abyss.
You're at National EMTV News. Chukai Sports is next. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The 5th annual Kalibobo Lighthouse Rugby Sevens tournament is set to take place next month in Medang from the 26th to 28 October 2018. The event will feature both the men's and women's divisions. National women's coach John Larry says all 4 regions are expected to be represented at this tournament.
We'll be taking a development squad going up to Medang. And I'm really happy with the Medang Rugby Union to host one of the women's tournament. It's a big tournament, as the flyer you see it's on Facebook, and I'm willing to go up there and see some good talents of women. I hope provincials might make team for the women's team to go to Medeng, and I'm really keen to go and see and recruit some girls for Medeng. I want to see Lei and Goroka and Hagen and some of the island girls. I really want to see some big girls in the team. So I already spoke to the president of Morobe and Medeng. They said they're going to put a team up, and I wanted to go up there. And there's Goroka coming down, and it's good for me to select. And I'll be bringing one of the team up there to give set the standard up there.
A news conference for Team PNG attending the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires next month will be held tomorrow at the Royal Port Moresby Golf Club, where a flag bearer will also be announced. In attendance will be the Chief de Mission, Caro Lela, young changemaker James Lea, as well as young athletes who will be attending the Games. The number of events PNG will participate in at the Youth Olympics will also be made known at the conference. EMTV Sports will bring more updates tomorrow. To Rugby League, and one of NRL's greatest and Melbourne Storm fullback Billy Slater will play his last match tomorrow night. Slater debuted for the Melbourne Storm in 2003 and since then saw him make a career in rugby league for over a decade.
Billy Slater made his debut performance in 2003 for the Melbourne Storms, who helped steer the Storms to all three premiership wins, 1999, 2012 and 2017. Some of his achievements included playing as fullback in all three State of Origin matches for the Queensland side in 2011 and later awarded the Dalian Medal for Best and Fairest Player of the Year in the NRL. Not only did Slater achieve so much throughout his rugby league career, but also touched and inspired many.
Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war, you can talk the guy, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock, you can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck, dedicate yourself and you go find yourself. Standing in the Hall of Fame.
With only hours away to this is NRL Premiership Grand Final for the Melbourne Storms, it is a must-win as one of NRL's great, Billy Slater, is hoped to be farewell on a high note as he prepares to hang his boots.
The Melbourne genius, Adokar kicks to the end goal. Slater's going to score another one. Troy, oh, what a ball! What a pass! Slater for Melbourne have scored. Cronk got it away to Slater. He's over Billy the Kid.
Storms, as last year's premiers, will be going down hard against the Sydney Roosters for their fourth premiership title and back-to-back wins as the defending premiers of 2017. The Storms will take on the Sydney Roosters at the ANZ Stadium tomorrow night. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports will be back with more after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Overseas now, basketball is on track to becoming New Zealand's most played sport. Nearly 400 teams registered for this year's secondary school tournament, and next week the top 24 will battle for national supremacy.
How do we get better?
Matt Lacey is pretty young for a head coach of a high school basketball team.
I was on tour recently and there was a kid in my team that had a full-on beard, and there was a few comments saying maybe we should switch places.
At 22, Lacey became the youngest coach ever to win a national title, making age work in his favour.
His ability to kind of connect to players individually not only on the court but off the court.
Also working in his favour are the number of kids he has to choose from, with over a quarter of the college's students playing basketball.
Rosemead is typically a rugby-centred school, but around 2010, I mean, numbers really exploded.
It's a trend that's mirrored around the country, with basketball projected to be the most played secondary school sport by 2020.
Because I've been in the league about 5 years, I definitely think competition has gotten a lot better.
Rosmini is a prime example. Not only do they have a Tall Black squad member in Perrott Hunt, but 3 national under-17 representatives as well, and a former youth international as a coach.
We have a target on our back, so we've got to be ready.
Lacey proving age is just a number, but basketball showing that numbers count.
And that ends Trukai Sports, where the details up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Weather forecast for tomorrow and tonight, fine in Port Moresby.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Saturday, 29th of September 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV news team right around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.